Thank you, Neil. We start off with news from Haiti. At least 4 people have been killed in 3 days of protests against a steep hike in fuel prices imposed by the Haitian government on Friday. According to the BBC, protesters set alight cars and blocked roads in the capital and other towns. The double-digit hike in the price of petrol, diesel, and kerosene was part of an agreement with the International Monetary Fund to increase Haiti's government revenue. It triggered widespread anger, and in some areas, protests descended into looting. Even though the government announced a temporary suspension of the measure on Saturday, that seems not to have quelled protesters' anger, with many demanding that the president step down. In Trinidad and Tobago, a police sergeant on suspension sat in his car, poured gasoline on himself, and set everything on fire on Sunday. The Express reported that the police officer was on suspension after being charged earlier this year with multiple offenses, including arson, malicious damage, and assaulting 2 relatives. Videos have emerged showing the 62-year-old man in a ball of flames stumbling about outside the burning car. A woman can be heard screaming. Investigators were told that the police officer was involved in an argument with a relative and left the house with a container full with gasoline. The man is in a critical condition. Brazil's ex-president Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva is to remain in prison after a day of legal wrangling. The BBC reported that on Sunday, an on-call judge ruled that Lula should be released, but another judge rejected this. Eduardo Thompson Flores, the head of the federal court that convicted Lula, has now stepped in and said that there is no legal basis for his release. Lula says he is innocent and the case is politically motivated. His conviction was part of an anti-corruption investigation known as Operation Car Wash, which has implicated top politicians from several parties. Internationally, Boris Johnson has launched a scathing attack on Theresa May's Brexit strategy, saying the dream is dying, suffocated by needless self-doubt. In his letter resigning as Foreign Secretary, Johnson said the Prime Minister was leading the United Kingdom into a semi-Brexit with the status of a colony. According to the BBC, his resignation came hours after Brexit Secretary David Davis quit the cabinet. Mrs. May insists her plans are the best way to honor the Brexit vote amid a deepening political crisis. Divers have rescued 4 more boys from a vast cave system in northern Thailand on the second day of a complex operation. According to the BBC, the Thai Navy SEALs leading the rescue operation have confirmed that 8 boys in total have been extracted. 4 boys and their football coach remain inside the caves. Rescuers will try to free them on Tuesday. The group became trapped on June 23rd after heavy rains caused flooding and was found last week by divers. The Trump administration is expected to miss a July 10th deadline to reunite young migrant children who were separated from their parents at the U.S.-Mexico border, the American Civil Liberties Union says. After viewing a list of the 102 children under the age of 5 in the government's care, the union said it appears likely that less than half will be reunited by then. But despite mounting legal and social pressure, immigration authorities have offered little information about reunification of what comes next, the BBC reported. And that brings us to the end of regional and international headlines. Back to you, Neil.